we have people do all kinds of crazy things to get customers taken care of. And I know a lady was in the checkout line at Walmart and her debit card wouldn't work one day, and a lady that runs our debit card department got the cash out of her account for her with the customer's permission, of course, and drove that to Walmart and delivered it to the customer. I mean, we just do whatever it takes to get the customer taken care of, and I think that's unique in today's banking environment.
Let's stick with the month.
Turn over to the city manager.
Very good to see that for 3 states.
Yeah, oh yeah, that'd be good.
She didn't send invitations out. She called me, so I said invite you all.
Who is it that invited us?
Dora, the executive director.
Okay, let's go through the agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 1, the minutes from last week's meeting. Okay, if you want to come on up here, first reading of an ordinance changing zoning of about 35 acres, Farmers Avenue and City View. This is for continued development out there, also related to the large drainage project and the road project and all the good things we have that maybe make life a little difficult on Farmers Avenue today, but certainly will improve that and really make it a neat deal. So, Kelly?
This is just the next, the zoning request is to accommodate the next phase of the residential development out in City View. The request is residential District 2, which so far is the same as the zoning on that's adjacent to this property, so all of the standards would be similar in character with the existing residential development out there, or any proposed residential development in the area. RT zoning, just to remind you, is our sort of our medium-sized residential lot with a maximum or minimum area of 6,000 square feet, and then the lots are 50 by 100. Planning and zoning commissioners felt that it was an appropriate expansion of the existing development and zoning, and recommended approval of it unanimously.
It's all beginning to fill up, isn't it?
Pretty close.
There, you recently did some stuff immediately to the west in City View, and they are moving that through.
I saw that.
Any questions on item number 2? Hearing none, item number 3, second and final reading, ordinance amending the municipal code. This is our warrant fee that we changed in the budget, and we're amending the ordinance therefore to match.
Questions?
No questions. Item number 4, resolution calling public hearing. As you all are well aware, this is step 1, so this is where we'll set the date to bring this property back later and allow your consideration. Does take a motion.
Oh, that's right.
Does take a motion. And item number 5, this is the second step, and obviously this is a different property. This is property 308 North Lincoln, just north of downtown here. This is the consideration of that structure and the possible demolition thereof. Scott, wherever Scott.
Here. We'll be here.
I know there's been some interchange back and forth on this property today. Are there any changes we need to be aware of before we get to the hearing?
No, I don't believe so. I don't expect that. I had a verbal conversation with their counsel, Quentin King, and explained to him that he could have someone represent the owner today, and that the hearing would be at 3 o'clock. He may or may not, but it's not likely that anyone will show up.
We've printed off and provided the documentation of that. It's in each of y'all's. Is it? Yeah, it's in each of y'all's place.
Okay. Jim, that's going to be good.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
They're in here, or they're up at
The scripts for you to use during the hearing are up at the dais, and then the emails are in your stack today. In fact, I can see Jim's hanging out there to the right. There you go.
Yeah.
Just chain that went around right before noon today. Item number 6,
Let me ask you, wait a second.
Yes, sir.
Never mind, found it,
Found it?
misfire.
Item number 6, public hearing on a proposed annexation. This is beginning the process. This is also where you're looking at the rezoning, and this is just pulling that corner so they can have it in that rezoned plat.
Right, this annexation is completely related to proposed residential development where, as it stands today with the current city limits, a portion of the rear lots and alley are outside the city limits, would be outside the city limits with the plat. And so the developer is working with us to work this out to where the proposed development would be completely contained within the city limits, but it brings up the bigger issue of this is a problem area that we're going to be forced to address here pretty soon with what we're going to do with the property to the north of Farmers and the Catalpa mobile home area. And we just recently met as staff to discuss. We've got 2 areas where because of proposed new development, we're going to be getting really close to those donut holes if we don't do something. The other one that's out on about 81st and Coulter, 81st Street between Coulter and Sauncey, those, that's a lot less problematic in this area.
Is it just a strip showing the yellow, or is it the entire corners?
It's the,
Yeah.
It closes the plat to keep the plat within the city limits.
and it is,
Corner stays out.
and it's owner initiated and sparsely populated annexation request, so it can be done a little differently than your normal annexation. It's a much abbreviated process. So we're going to bring this plat in, but we still have the bigger issue that we're going to have to.
When will we discuss options that we have available on those 2 things? Is that something we'll need to discuss in the next few months?
We may. I don't know what we're going to end up with as those options just yet.
Okay.
And the infrastructure is just non-existent, right?
No.
Well,
We need to stay on this, item.
Oh, sorry.
We'll schedule that discussion for the future. Is there infrastructure out there?
yes.
What they need?
Yes, yeah, there's
Yeah, it's
no
infrastructure.
issue with the service plan. The service plan will be provided with the first reading of the annexation ordinance. And we've sent it out for comments. There aren't any issues with providing this area of services.
Thank you, Kelly. Moving right along to a approved consent agenda this week. Item A is the approval of the 2013 summer food service or summer lunch program contract with Amarillo Independent School District to do this. Vicki, same service level as last year?
We added a few more school sites, so but this basically is our basic school summer lunch program. So this is both the grant application and the contract with the others.
It says 25% increase in the number, so it's pretty substantial.
The number of school,
Of sites.
summer school sites went up.
How many years have we been doing this?
Many.
Long time.
When I'm reading 4,500 children at 60 sites, is that like the total number all summer?
Yes, we spread it out through the summer, although it will begin to drop off in the middle of July as the summer schools end.
So that's sometimes duplicated head count, like Susie might get a lunch every day or whatever, you know what I mean? And then she's counted every time, so you know what I'm saying?
We count the
Are there
lunches.
individual, oh, they count the lunches, they say?
We count the lunches.
Okay.
We buy X number of lunches, and many of the children will
Give their
take
lunch
those
every
lunches
day.
every day.
Yeah. Okay, that's okay.
Some of them take an extra 1 or 2 home.
No, they can't.
They don't? They can't do that?
They have a policy.
Okay.
Should I keep meat more than one?
It's okay.
And item B, R2, aviation clear zonings. Any questions on the agenda for today? With that, we've got a couple of guests with us today to talk to you. Gary Wahlberg from the Chamber of Commerce and Dan Quant from the Amarillo CDC. And you'll recall one of the things these gentlemen implemented, we began in January, was kind of a quarterly update to this body on the activities of the CDC, and they're here now to do their second one. So, guys.
All righty. Thank you again for the opportunity. I think I'm more comfortable standing, actually. Now, the last time I came in here was, I think, literally my 3-month anniversary. And so I spent that time kind of reviewing those 3 months. And now my 6th month was, gosh, a week ago. So that's the whole time now. So instead of going through again and saying, well, you know, gosh, Dad, this is what I did the last 3 months, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to tell you some of the things I've learned in these first 6 months and a little look forward to what we think we should be working on, what the city should be working on. So that's kind of my look today. Now, for some people, you may, around the town, they might look at Amarillo tourism and think of it kind of like Rodney Dangerfield, you know, that we don't get any respect. I mean, really, tourism, Amarillo, and they're not looking at it. Well, my view of that is that we're not Rodney Dangerfield, but especially for people from the outside, we're a little more like Susan Boyle. I don't know if you remember Susan Boyle, but from Britain's Got Talent, because people from, and I'll remember, people outside that do not live in Amarillo, and their view might be just this flat place that's 93 one day and freezing the next. And they don't have a clue until they get to see it, or in her case, hear it. You know, so we're a lot more like Susan Boyle. Once we get a chance to showcase ourselves, it's like, wow, we've really got something here, and we've got something we can share with a lot of people. Our job, real basically, is just to tell the story in different markets, different ways. We have to tell the story differently than anybody else. If we tell it exactly the same, we get lost in the noise of the marketplace. So we have to stand out. We talked about that a little bit last time, some of the ways we're doing some advertising differently. Yes, we have to keep promoting. If everyone ever thinks we shouldn't promote, I remind you about Disney World. Disney World, far and away, is the #1 tourist attraction in the entire world. And yet you see ads for Disney World all the time. They do it because if they don't keep advertising, somebody else will end up being the #1 tourist spot in the world. So you have to keep telling the story. So we're going to be active with that. Now, why is this important? Last night in Amarillo, we ran about 60% occupancy in our roughly 6,000 hotel rooms. That means, and if just for argument's sake, say we only have one person staying in each one of those rooms. That's 3,600 people that don't belong here, you know, that were just staying here overnight. Now, a state company that does study for the state says that on average, a person staying overnight here spends $100. Okay, do the math. Those 3,600 people that were here last night on an annual average, that's over 1.3 million people. And that's just one person. If they're spending $100 a piece, we had 100 million, we didn't do much. You know, and that's one person. This is big, big business. Actually, according to DK Shiflett, that does this study for the state, in 2011, their last numbers, the direct spending, not economic impact, I don't like multipliers, I think it confuses the issue. Direct spending in Amarillo, Texas, in 2011 was $763 million from tourism. The largest employer in Amarillo is the Amarillo Independent School District, roughly 4,000 employees. The tourism industry of Amarillo has 7,600 employees. I mean, this isn't just important, it's major. And that's why we have to keep at it. Now, are they all in one plant? No, they're in a variety of places. But this is big business for Amarillo, and it's serious business. That's why we have to do these things. Now, by the way, we're going to be honoring that, and you will have a proclamation a little later too on that, but starting this Friday, it's National Tourism Week starting, And we're starting some things with First Friday. We've got our second What's on Tap event coming up a week from yesterday, on Monday at Wonderland, 4:30 to 6:30. And then on May 10th, we will be having a kind of an annual Tourism Day event out at the Texas Travel Information Center off exit 76. That'll actually be going from 10 to 4 with some programming right around 11 o'clock that day, but to talk about the importance of the tourism industry and what's going on. Now our role, of course, is how do we keep building this thing? Okay, not sounding bad now, how do we keep building it? First off, we're trying to rebrand Amarillo. Now keep in mind that a brand is not what you say it is. A brand is what people think you are. Okay? So no matter what you think you are, it don't make any difference if they don't believe it. If the majority of people just in Texas, and we get almost 60% of our visitors from Texas, if the majority of people here don't realize what all Amarillo has to offer, they just think, again, it's this flat place out in the Panhandle. We've got some problems. And by just buying the same kind of ad or talking the same kind of story, we'll be lost. So we're trying to do things totally differently so we stand out and apart from the noise. We have taken our look at our markets, and our future is niche marketing in a lot of aspects. And we have taken and come up with 6 major niche markets for Amarillo. And I got to use my sheet. The 6 major niches are agriculture, farm and ranch kind of things, arts and culture, families, history, nostalgia, and outdoors. Under those 6 niches, we have a little over 40 sub-niches. Okay? So, an example, under the families major niche, we have sub-niches that include biking, cowboys, ecotourism, faith, hiking, Native Americans, special events, sports, unique museums. Our role is to figure out in every one of these what's the best way to attract people. It's rarely, the answer is rarely advertising, because we just don't have enough money just to be in people's faces that much. But it's how do we use public relations, how do we not just have news stories talk about us, but make sure we're targeting the right Western magazines for people that want to come here for an Old West feel, the right mountain biking magazines, so that we're talking to people about the best mountain biking place in Texas. You know, so there's a lot of work that goes into these kind of things. Sports, you know, there's so many categories of sports. What works best for Amarillo? Last week, I spent the week in Louisville at the National Association of Sports Commissions Convention. It was a phenomenally successful event for Amarillo. We had more appointments than our counterparts around Texas, including the place that calls themselves the sports capital of Texas. We had more appointments than they did. It was fun for me. I actually helped, this is their 21st anniversary of this association, and I got to help form this organization. I helped organize it. I was on the original board, the original 14 of us that met in St. Louis so many years ago, and now we had 775 people there. The point to that isn't to brag. The point is that by creating this association, we changed the sports market. That wasn't there for people before. We looked at something as a group of people and changed the market. That's what we have to do with a lot of things, changing the market. I did learn some important things. I would talk to them about some of our facilities, and it doesn't matter what we have now. It doesn't matter if you build, for example, the multi-event venue down here. We're not going to host the World Series. Okay? Now that probably doesn't come as a shock to you. And why aren't we going to host the World Series? It's simple, because we don't have a team, right? Because it's people. It's almost like what we're trying to talk about here, that if we don't have people that are involved in associations and activities in sports here in Amarillo, we can't bring them in, no matter what. So we went to something else that made more sense. Football. Well, we're not going to host the Super Bowl either. That has nothing to do with the teams that are coming in, because you can host it and not be there. It obviously has nothing to do with the size of the field, because football fields are the same, no matter where you are. It has to do with the specs and what they require to host these things. absolutely, in this business, sports, conventions, this and that, one size does not fit all, okay? We cannot give you a cookie cutter and you say, gosh, if we build this, what will we get? Because everyone is different. Everyone is different. And that's kind of critical to know that. But if look again, take a look at the Globe News Center. When you did that, you changed the market. You didn't just offer a new entertainment venue for Amarillo. You changed the arts and entertainment market. And by some of the changes you are looking at, in terms of especially downtown development, you're going to change the market. I mean, I have done my own research. I've read the stuff. I've done my own research. I'm telling you right now, you need a convention center hotel. You need this. We do not have it. We have some properties that host some conventions. We do not have a convention center hotel. Okay? We're not in the game. We're not even close compared to just people in our set, people we're competing with. I'm never going to do if you build it, they will come. But I'm telling you, that's the next big open market for us. But we have to have that kind of facility to do that. I can tell you from our staffing standpoint, we now have our full complement of staff. We had 2 more last week. They have the tools in place. We've been able to spend a lot of time. I've gotten a lot of assistance, especially the finance office is kind of going, okay, well, just keep going. And because I'm not busting the bottom line, but I'm working on making sure we've got the tools in place so that no one's ever going to tell me, well, I couldn't do that because I don't like my software. Well, I'm sorry, we want the software. Give me another excuse. So with the tools are in place, the group is ready to go. We will only sell what we have. There's a mistake that's been happening, I think, in the past when we sold a little too far in advance. And we've got people now that are saying, wait a minute, in that opening this year? We want to brag about things, but I'm not going to start selling until there's dirt flying, okay? Until we know what's going on. But when it's there, when that changes, and when anything else changes in this town, in any part of this town that becomes part of our inventory, we're going to share it and we're going to sell it. And we're going to sell it enthusiastically. When this area, when the whole West began, some of those critical people were scouts, okay? The ones that went ahead of the pioneers, and they'd come back and say, okay, this is the right path. We've got some hostile area over here, but this is the way to go. Our job is we are your scouts in the tourism area. We're going to look at it. We're going to try to examine it. We will share our knowledge with you. You take the advice. You go, whatever you decide, that's the path we're going to take. But we are your resource, and that's what we're here for. And that's basically my message today, is we're your resource, and we will help with anything we can. So with that, if you have any questions about this or anything else.
You said at the first 60% of the hotel rooms were occupied. Is that a good number? What's a good number? And are we filling our hotel rooms well?
Annually, our number is like 59.3 on an annual basis. Now, we do fill it with more than one person, but it's 59.3. It is, which is a good number nationally. I'd like it a little higher, but it's where I came from, for example, it was like 49% in South Padre on an annual average. Let me give you another stat. That $763 million I mentioned that was spent here in 2011, there is no more tourism-oriented destination in the state of Texas than South Padre Island, and they were at $308 million. So it was $400 million more spent in Amarillo on tourism in 2011 in South Padre. Yeah, this is an industry that you just, it's hard to wrap your arms around, but it's bigger in Amarillo than you think. Our goal is to not just keep filling the rooms, but to help float the boat a little higher. If we've got a biggest challenge to us, in my estimation, in our current marketplace, is overall our rates are honestly too low. They're too low. Our average annual rate is like $66.
And do you think that the hotel rooms you're talking about right now are a different audience than the convention center hotel you'd be talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, totally. It's apples and oranges. The operation of a convention center hotel, the needs, the desire that people have to be there are totally different than limited service. We have to acknowledge that a lot of our tourism are people that are here and they're going there. I don't like to say past certain. It sounds digestive. You know, this doesn't sound right. Yeah, you know, but we acknowledge that and we'll take that, but the convention center hotel plus the other things that we're trying to highlight turns us from this point that's in the middle between A and B into a destination. And that's what we have to be. And we're not, like I said, we're not doing bad without it. So just think. Like I told you, I was in Louisville last week. If you haven't been there, they're downtown, and I know there's a difference in size, but they have 2 or 3 major hotels connected to the Civic Center. Visitor centers on the corner. They redeveloped downtown. They dedicated one whole block as an entertainment area. Probably took a lot of flack for it as city leaders, but it is amazing what they've done down there. Very exciting.
Dan, I think one thing Dan brought to my attention, Ellen asked that question. If I came to y'all and said, name our top 3 convention hotels in Amarillo right now, could y'all answer it?
I know.
And when we answer that, Dan answers that question, you're going to go, yeah, we do need a convention. Ambassador's on the top of the
Well,
list.
they're on the top. Well, and the challenge is if you look at our top 5 largest hotels, it's not even the fact that, and this, by the way, this is not knocking any of our properties. I love all our properties. My God, they're great. The meeting space at the Ambassador is the largest for a privately held. It's 8,500 square feet. Abilene's MCM Elegante, many of you have probably been there, they've got 12,000 square feet. That by far is the smallest compared to us. Most of our competitors set are more like 25, 27, up to 40,000 square feet. So, I mean, we're not even close. The challenge is that among our top 5 hotels, we have one of our hotels with over 200 rooms that has an average daily rate of $31. I mean, that's a problem. It's not a deal, that's a problem.
That explains why the $100 figure is so low, $100 spending.
Well, that's an average. That's an average of all over from no matter what they're coming. A convention delegate is more like 200 some. A sporting event people tend to be more. A trade show delegate is even more than a convention delegate. But and DK Schiff that does this all over the nation just said on average, for Amarillo it's $100.60.
So by convention center, you mean ballroom space, meeting space,
Oh,
and
yeah.
certain amount of rooms being able to.
Exactly.
Well, and you look at, then you tie that into the marketplace. I talked to you about the niche markets. One of our natural growth areas is in ag shows. I mean, gosh, we're sitting in the middle of this area. So agriculture, farming, ranching. So an ag show that has a trade show where they can show the imports. Okay, now we run, and if we just take it beyond a hotel and expand the Civic Center. Because right now, correct me if I'm wrong, Sherman, the largest contiguous space, although we've got more space than anybody around here, in terms of total space, the largest contiguous space is like 26,000 square feet. You're going to want 75 to 100,000 square feet of contiguous space for us to be serious in that kind of market. For us to just do our natural growth. We're not talking about doing anything unusual. We're talking about natural growth with markets we already have and how to build them to really make this work. You have at least 70,000 square feet without a column in the way.
So what I'm hearing your bottom line to be is you can sell it, but we've got to give you the tools.
We can sell it. We will run with the tools you give us. Yeah, and we will advise you on how to do that. But we're advocates for your proposals, and we're advocates for the projects.
Well, I'm just sitting here thinking about some of the larger groups that occupy a lot of space when they come in. It's like the Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, they fill every hotel room in the town. When we have any quarter horse event, whatever it is, they bring large numbers of people in. And look at the WRCA, they've already outgrown the space, basically. I mean, they've gotten so huge that, you know, that there's no place else to put people. Aren't you already sold out for the first night of?
Well, they sell out pretty quick.
Yeah.
And
And so,
keep
I
in
mean-
mind, yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, but I'm saying, you know, it's those kinds of events that could keep flourishing and growing, because if we had more space.
But those events are
Convention.
coming in, are they true convention hotels that they go to? No.
No.
Because you come out there, and the course events are held out there at the fairgrounds, you know, and the other groups, they meet at the Civic Center. They don't stay. It'd be so much more convenient if they could walk over there. Sherman knows that. That's
Yes,
natural
absolutely.
anyway, and I think some people put in bids when we get to first base because we can. And that's why it's so important to have downtown. Another convention hotel, Kiva. It's our second best convention hotel. I'm not saying anything else, I'm just telling
Oh,
you.
the season,
Seals
okay.
this season, please.
And again, your decisions on what you end up doing, for us, after, you know, whatever advice and counsel we give, when you make that decision for us, it's a marketing decision. You know, and that's basically it. There does get to be a time in some communities when you say, I'm sorry, we just can't do it anymore. And you have a client that outgrows you. And you can't always keep building. Sometimes, you know, just economically impossible to do that. But it's a marketing decision. And you make that and we turn that into, because again, we sell what we have. I'm very proud of what we have. We make it work. We've made it work for a long time. We can make it work a lot better with a different set of tools.
Well, I'm exhausted just hearing you.
Dan, I want to commend you on your newsletter that you put out.
Thank you.
I don't know what kind of how big of a list that you have, but it certainly, it tells people, and they have complained since Christ was a child, about not knowing what was going on in Amarillo. This is a very good approach and attempt at that.
Well, and that's, I mean, the original concept was, you know, for a front desk, for that back bulletin board in a restaurant, so they can look and say what's going on, because if you've got a waiter and you say, what's going on tonight, and they can answer you with something, not only were you happy, they probably just upped their tip a little bit, because they provided additional service. You know, it's more than just sharing information, it's you know, building on everything. So, but thank you.
Well, we have a great thing here. You know, this is my 16th year in Chamber, and I finally booked the Chamber Convention I was telling you about, Paul, because you're going to be part of my team in the steak eating contest. But in my 16 years, we have traveled all over the state of Texas for conventions, and every year I have people come to me and say, we're going back to Amarillo. That's the most fun we've ever had in any town. We're so excited.
All right.
And I mean, it's just astounding. So,
And this is
Dan
when?
and his group are getting ready to put it out
June.
there. Kevin, in June 22nd, the mayor's on my team. They're going to eat the 72-ounce steak.
I want to watch it.
There's 3 people that are going to share.
Four.
Well, that's.
So you guys, it's only 18 ounces, but you got
I'm one of the mayors.
It's only 18 ounces apiece.
18 ounces.
plus the baked potato, salad, all
Next one
that.
I can eat.
I'm glad to know you're in Louisville, because last CDC meeting, he met with us on Skype, and it looked like he was live from his living room. But you were
Well,
probably
it was-
somewhere else.
Yeah, I wasn't in the room in Louisville. But,
I heard you put on certain uniforms when you're out there at some of those things.
oh, well, I did. I've worn a bull costume. Yes, I've done a full mascot bull costume at one. I've done, you know,
Whatever it takes, right?
whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
We
As long as we
appreciate that.
don't- we go for the Godiva convention. I'm not crossing that line.
We would appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah.
So would everyone else.
Okay.
Okay, well, we're there.
Good work.
Thank you.
We're there anytime.
Report.
Thank you.
Very report. The hoteliers are all enthused with you being here.
Well, our goal is to not disappoint, or you. So
They are.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Bye.
See you at 3.
Okay.
Just say the whole enchilada.
Yeah.
Mayor, if we could, let's go ahead and begin our closed session discussion for the day.